Long ago, the land we now call Mesopotamia was a vastly different place. The climate was cooler, and the environment was far more hospitable than the arid deserts we associate with the region today. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers, which now flow through barren landscapes, once nourished lush verdant valleys, teeming with life. In the highlands above these valleys, forests intermingled with steppes and savannas, creating habitats for animals like goats, boars, deer, and foxes. It was here, in these fertile lands, that some of humanity's earliest experiments with settled life began to take root. Farmers worked the valley floors, taking advantage of the river's seasonal flooding to cultivate grains and other crops. Yet, for safety, they lived in the nearby hills, which provided a natural defense against potential invaders. Shepherds tended flocks of sheep and goats in the steppes, occupying the spaces between the farms and the encroaching deserts. This division of labor and occupation set the stage for a society that relied on cooperation and resource sharing to thrive. Further afield, the lands around the Black Sea offered their own treasures. Here, ancient communities discovered hills rich in obsidian, copper, and salt, valuable resources that spurred early trade. Obsidian, a volcanic glass, prized for its sharpness and durability, became essential for crafting tools like sickles. Meanwhile, copper began to emerge as a cornerstone of early metallurgy. These resources would bind disparate regions into a complex web of exchange, connecting cultures and fostering innovation. By around 5000 BCE, the distinct environmental zones of Mesopotamia and the surrounding regions gave rise to recognizable cultural identities. In modern-day Romania, the Vinca culture emerged, known for its advanced craftsmanship and rich ritual practices. Simultaneously, in what is now Iraq, the Samarra culture flourished, built upon the fertile lands of the Tigris and Euphrates. While most settlements of this era were small, some began to stand out for their size and influence. Jericho in present-day Israel and Tel Aswad near Damascus in Syria became regional hubs. Çatalhöyük in Turkey was a particularly notable settlement, serving as a vital source of obsidian for trade. Among these early villages was Tel es-Sawwan, located near Samarra, on the banks of the Tigris. What began as a modest settlement grew into a fortified community, reflecting the increasing need for security as societies expanded. The village's layout revealed a clear social hierarchy, with important structures located in the southern half. A central building, later added to the site, featured a symmetrical design with a central corridor, possibly serving as a granary. Nearby, clusters of houses were surrounded by areas designated for livestock. The construction materials of the time, mud and timber, were used ingeniously. Mud was mixed with reeds to create bricks, an innovation that remains characteristic of the region to this day. The architecture of this early settlements was both practical and innovative. Houses were built with rectilinear rooms, averaging 1.5 by 2 meters, and roofs were flat, constructed from beams of oak, topped with branches and reeds. These were then sealed with layers of mud, bitumen, and gypsum to make them weather-resistant. Gypsum, an essential building material, was made by burning mined stone blocks to produce a fine white powder. This versatile material was used to plaster walls, providing durability and a smooth finish. Remarkably, gypsum plaster had been in use since as early as 7000 BCE, a testament to the ingenuity of these ancient builders. Northern Iraq and Syria, with their abundant gypsum deposits, not only supplied local needs, but also became centers of production for export. Trade was the lifeblood of these early societies. The Samarran culture, for example, produced surplus grain, which was traded with neighboring regions. This exchange of goods, combined with the production of pottery, tools, and building materials, laid the foundation for economic specialization. As communities grew and diversified, the seeds of urbanization were sown. Yet, the story of Mesopotamia as the Fertile Crescent is incomplete without considering the broader context. Surrounding the fertile lands was a metal crescent, encompassing regions rich in copper and tin, essential for the production of bronze. Copper, widely available across the region, became one of the first metals to be extensively mined and worked. In the Vinca culture, which thrived from 5500 to 4000 BCE in the Balkans, freestanding rectangular houses were constructed, with wattle and daub walls and thatched roofs. The Vinca were not only skilled builders, but also deeply spiritual, with house shrines dedicated to fertility deities and ancestors. Their rituals added a layer of meaning to daily life, blending the practical with the sacred. Farther east, the Taurus Mountains in Anatolia became a crucial source of tin, a rarer metal needed to create bronze. One notable site, Göltepe, was a bustling mining village from around 3290 to 1840 BCE. Miners extracted cassiterite ore from narrow shafts, crushed and washed it, and then smelted it with charcoal in small crucibles. The scale of their work was immense, as evidenced by slag heaps weighing hundreds of thousands of tons. Göltepe and similar sites supplied tin to surrounding regions, enabling the widespread production of bronze, which revolutionized tools, weapons, and trade. By the 3rd millennium BCE, metals like copper and tin were integral to international relations and power dynamics. Around 2350 BCE, Sargon of Akkad, one of history's first empire builders, launched campaigns into Anatolia to secure trade routes and access critical resources. Records from his reign boast of caravans transporting up to 12 tons of tin at a time, enough to produce 125 tons of bronze. This wealth of metal could equip entire armies, giving Mesopotamian rulers a significant advantage in warfare and governance. However, this heavy reliance on mining came at a cost. The extensive deforestation required to fuel smelting furnaces, combined with overgrazing, contributed to the desertification of Western Asia. What was once a verdant landscape gradually transformed, leaving a legacy that is still visible today. Mesopotamia's story is one of creativity, resilience, and interconnectedness. From its lush valleys and fortified hilltop villages to its bustling trade routes and metal-rich mountains, the region was a melting pot of innovation. Its people mastered agriculture, developed advanced building techniques, and pioneered early forms of metallurgy. These advancements not only shaped their own societies, but also laid the groundwork for future civilizations. The story of Mesopotamia is not merely about a cradle of civilization. It is a testament to humanity's ability to adapt, innovate, and connect. It reminds us that the foundations of our modern world were built on the ingenuity and collaboration of those who came before us, in a land where grain and metal intertwined to forge the path toward urbanization and empire.